Chicago Fire Season 14 is bound to repeat Chicago PD's frustrating Haley Upton and Jay Halstead split. This type of breakup is something we've seen plenty of times in the One Chicago universe, with Chicago PD offering one of the most disrespectful breakups of all time. As Chicago PD's Halstead and Upton got close, it was clear there was a romance on the cards. They even got married in their own way, bringing the union that we fought hard to see. Halstead's departure led to everything changing, and instead of showing us that a long-distance relationship can work, the show destroyed the relationship. This is something that Chicago Fire Season 14 runs the risk of doing, especially based on the track record of other Dick Wolf Universe TV shows. However, there is a way that the series could avoid such a problem. Why Halstead and Upton split in Chicago PD is so disappointing. Halstead ghosting Upton was completely out of character. Tracy Spiridakos as Upton and Jesse Lee Soffer as Halstead in Chicago PD. Ahead of Chicago PD Season 10, Jesse Lee Soffer announced that he was leaving the series. We got to see a 3-episode exit storyline, but the issues for Halstead and Upton came after that and mostly off-screen. Halstead chose to re-enlist in the army, and he ended up off the grid. It was only supposed to be for one term, but Chicago PD changed his character by having him completely ghost Upton as she tried to talk with him. He didn't even tell her personally that he was upping his commitment to the army. It broke everything that Halstead and Upton had fought for up to this point. In the end, Upton chose to serve divorce papers, realizing that she couldn't keep holding on to the man she loved, leaving viewers without full closure for Halstead and Upton. There wasn't even a reason to do it this way, as a lot of people make a long-distance relationship work with someone in the military. Military spouses can have communication problems, but successful relationships work through them. Upton could have mentioned she'd spoken to Halstead to show their relationship was working. Chicago Fire is likely to break up Carver and Violet with no real reason to. Carver and Violet have just gotten back together. The Chicago Fire Season 13 finale saw Carver and Violet finally get back together. It had been a long wait, but it came with the knowledge that this relationship wasn't going to work. Before the year-ender, however, we learned that both Jake Lockett and Daniel Kiri were leaving the series. There is a chance that Chicago Fire will at least offer some exit storylines. Lockett could appear in the first couple of episodes to set up a goodbye, as we already know that he put in a request to transfer to Denver, and he didn't say that he had pulled that request. With the exit, though, there isn't a chance to establish Carver and Violet as a couple. They're going to end up splitting for no real reason, disappointing those who had been ready for them to get back together. At least if they had been together for the season and showed they were struggling, we could accept that a long-distance relationship didn't work. We need time to see Violet and Carver together, but that can't happen. The only way that a breakup could be respectful is if there are phone calls or text messages between them that show they have tried but can't make it work. Chicago Fire owes it to us to be more respectful ending this relationship after waiting so long. Can Chicago Fire prevent Carver and Violet from breaking up? The Dick Wolf universe doesn't do long-distance couples. There is a way to change it all, and that's to create a successful long-distance relationship between Carver and Violet. While these types of relationships are hard, they're not impossible. There could be a long-term plan for Carver and Violet to be together, which allows us to believe that they can make it. Sadly, the Dick Wolf universe hasn't had the best track record when it comes to long-distance relationships. Chicago Fire tried after Casey left just after getting together with Brett, but it was clear from Brett's conversations with Violet and Kid that it wasn't easy, and they were on the verge of a breakup. It was only when Cara Kilmer chose to leave the series that Chicago Fire's Brett and Casey were able to be happy together. Brett moved to Portland to be with Casey, but they did get their wedding on screen. Perhaps, One Chicago is planning something similar for Carver and Violet, although it could only happen if the latter ends up leaving Firehouse 51 as well. This would make their proposed reunion bittersweet rather than just plain joyful. After all, Violet is a beloved long-term member of the team. In Chicago Med, Natalie Manning and Will Halstead broke up after Natalie left the hospital. It was only after Will decided to resign that we learned the two had been back in touch, and he moved to be with her. With past experiences, it's hard not to expect the same for Chicago Fire.